Reporting live from the Isle of Misfit Toys, just outside the 313. This is the Deployed from Detroit School of Leadership and Madness. A first-hand account of embracing the sun.
Hey now, everybody, welcome to Deployed from Detroit School of Leadership and Madness. It's movie night, I guess?
We're doing like a mini movie night.
Yeah.
We're just going to do a review of a movie that I love like too much, actually.
It's a damn fine film. We're here to talk to you about whatever the hell's going on. Usually, on our Sunday night, we kind of have a plan of action and a thing we go with. But we're deciding that maybe we'll fill the in-between with a few things that, I don't know, just like, it'd be great to talk about this in the other times, but like, this is too cool to just not see where it goes. If you haven't seen Fury, go ahead and see it. Like, let me pull up I didn't do any of the IMDb research. I don't remember when it came out. Let's Google that now, shall we? Let's learn together.
It came out in 2014 or 15. I do believe.
Accurate reporting. So, Fury came out in 2014, that's correct. Who's that other feller? The Punisher guy.
Oh, I don't know his name.
Yeah. Burtnell.
I know who you're talking about. He was in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You're talking about Kunas.
Yeah, let me load them up too, because their names are... I like them.
Yeah, and this was one of those things, like, they put together an odd cast, people who have done a lot of things, and wow, did they fit, like, perfectly for the roles. I can't even express it.
Yeah, everybody was who they needed to be. And I like that they all came from different areas and different places and different genres to a degree. I mean, they've all been in... I don't know if I've seen Burtnell in comic space. He seems like a serious fucking... Like, he's a Russian trained, like, this is fucking acting, dude. And you're like, all right, brother. Cool. Even he, he was in The Punisher, so he's not, taking things too serious. But, like they've all been in all kinds of characters.
Way different characters.
Yeah, and that was beneficial because they could boil them all into, because like you could see, like I like Gordo because like I was stationed in the Southwest for a minute and like I was overseas with the Arizona and Texas Guard and like fucking I love them people. Like, not to say them people as in, but like, I don't know. Like, I really love there is a difference in that, like, Southwestern, because you're not going to find homogenous behaviors in Latin Americans everywhere you go. Because, like, Mexican town Mexicans are different than Mexican Mexicans. Like, that's a for sure thing. But, like, there is something I liked about the fact that, like, that was represented there. Like, that was in the battle space that, you know, there were people there who weren't who you'd think they were. Or weren't who, you know, everybody's grandpa was there. you'll see somebody. Their grandpa was there too.
Oh, and I love how they pulled in like the aspect of like the brand new lieutenant.
Yeah.
And, you know, Norman, my boy, you know, they brought him in and they even say in the movie, they're like, how long have you been in the Army? He's like, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're like, shit. Well, okay. Welcome to the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There are attempts where, like, Norman makes sort of leaps on his little hero's jump that might be a bit much for other people, but, like, if you knew that kid in the service where, like, we've both run into that kid before, where, like, that kid would make those choices where he's going to do the things required to stay alive. And once they trust you, they'll start trusting you the rest of the way. And that's kind of what he did. That's how Norman was able to transform, is because he was like, I don't want to die. And that's what kept him smart.
You gotta think, and for those of you who have not watched the movie, I'll give you a little a little intro just to get it started. It's about a tank crew. World War II. It's 1945. We're at the end of the war, and this is when Hitler declared World War, which was every man, woman, child, anyone who could fight was fighting against the Allied forces. And one thing that people need to realize when we're talking about this movie is the German tank, the Tiger, was the premier tank in the world. I mean, it took on average 5 to 1, so 5 Shermans to every 1 Tiger. They were a rolling monster. We just got destroyed. The only reason why we ended up, succeeding in the end is
numbers.
GM was pumping out numbers like it was cool. And if you didn't know that, that's something great about our city. And our state is Detroit was pumping out Sherman tanks like the baby boomers back then. You know what I mean?
Making bombers and Michigan, we were producing because that's how we defeated the Luftwaffe as well. That was a benefit. It was, but it also meant too that we were losing people in droves. 8th Air Force had insane loss. Armored divisions had insane loss. We
did. And, I want to make sure everyone gets a correct picture of what a tank crew is. So you got the vehicle commander. In this case, it was War Daddy by Brad Pitt. And then you have your tail gunner, which was that was Norman. And you got your loader. That was Kunas. So if you think about it and you put it into like an equation, every time an American tank got destroyed, that's 5 people we were losing. That's pretty substantial.
Yeah. Every 1 tank that goes down isn't like, oh, Tom. It's like, oh, Tom plus 4. Like your buddy and their 4 buddies are gone. And the same is like, again, to pull, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but Air Force losses in World War II were staggering, just because of the same reason, like the exact same reasons that tank losses were so nuts were that on the B-17. So if you look, like we had the B-17, the B-24, and while we just had essentially the Sherman tank, we had like essentially 3 or 4, but more than that, bombers. But the crew size was, I shouldn't have picked Wikipedia. That's my fault. This is dyslexic, folks. My bad. Early on, we've been talking about how like loving kindness makes you a better killer and all that. And then this movie does a really good job of showing that like it's really difficult to keep that shit going after a while. And so how like the root of their mission was still the same, that they needed to end the war. But then And while that still drove them in the right kind of direction, on the periphery, it did allow them to engage in a little bit of like barbarism. that was at some times necessary and some, like, it just got confused to a point, I think, to them. Like, the guys who were on fire, it wasn't like they were brought out into the square and set on fire. So it wasn't anything that bad. But they said let them burn instead of shoot them, because there is nothing saying that we owe them a mercy killing, because that's what that would be, is a mercy killing. And that's what Machine's first kill is a mercy killing. He mows down all the Germans, and then that's when he gets his first attaboy from War Daddy saying, clean kill. Because, like, although he was going to let him hang, he's like, this kid's better than me. All right, good job, buddy. You know? Because he wasn't going to be able to sit there and watch these dudes scream and moan on fire the whole rest of the afternoon. That wasn't going to be in his, plans.
He was getting to shoot flesh, but it was also necessary in order to put them down for a civilized kill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was an interesting balance, too, how where even if the individuals at play may be acting in a counter to the overall mission and overall feel of, like, what we're trying to get accomplished, the overall force and feel, like, usually somebody will stop shit from getting too weird. Because, there is sort of an overwhelming element of, like, all right, well, we got to get out of here, so we can't fucking keep doing this, even if that's the minimum level.
Go ahead. Let's bring up some, because what we're leading into is some of the stuff that Steve picked out anyway. And this is stuff about, like, Norman was 8 weeks into the Army when he got assigned to Fury, but he was an admin clerk. He was a typist for the Army, and the Army was like, well, tanks are taking too many losses. Hey, buddy, you're going on a tank. You're going to be a tail gunner now. Sorry. So he got assigned to Fury, and part of what Steve brought up was part of his development. And he showed me a photo earlier. We'll cover each one of these as we go.
Do you want? Okay. You want me to? Let me see if I can find it. All right. So this picture, they can see it now. Oh, you can see it too, buddy. I thought this was an interesting moment. And I thought we should kind of explain it to provide context, where adding some context to this might be helpful for you, because in this scene, and it's pretty clear what it is. I'll take it down so you can see us talking again. But this is the one where War Daddy makes Norman shoot a feller. Holy moly. And it's a rough scene, it's a gripping scene, and it's interesting on a number of levels. You see the reactions of the troops around it. Some of them don't care, some of them are laughing, some of them are a little skeeved out by it. But it's a weird moment that kind of has to happen in that battle, because Norman failed to shoot earlier in the day, and that caused a tank to go, and they lost their commander. And then he failed to shoot on the battlefield during the engagement in this bit, and so he needs to get it through this kid's head that, I'm sorry this sucks, but this is what you're doing right now. And this is just an ideal, not ideal for the poor German feller, but, he's an unfortunate tool in this kid's education at this point. And regrettably, he didn't get shot earlier in the battle. And he's just being shot later in the battle.
Yeah, and what he's trying to do here, and it's an important thing, when you're a tank crew, when you're part of, everyone has their job, right? And anyone who's in armored combat or on ground combat or anything like that, ground combat element forces have to perform their job, because if they don't, we're talking about losses to other life. And it's not about innocence, and it's not about like, hey, you've been here 8 weeks. He was basically saying, I got it. I know that you've only been here a little bit, but you've got to do your job. Because if you don't do your job, people die. And I'm not going to live with that. You're not going to kill me. You're not going to kill my crew. I promised them I was going to bring them home. And I promised everyone else, too.
Right. And I don't think that this may have happened, I could say. I could say that this event probably didn't happen, for sure, because it's a movie, come on now. But did events like this occur? Did moments occur where a young troop was forced to kill somebody to just sort of prove themselves? Yeah, probably. Because especially when they're past boot camp, they're past tech school, they're past the beaches, they are at the knife point of this shit, and they got to do this. Now, does this happen at this extreme? Does this happen in modern combat? No. This is a dramatization of kicking someone in the ass, but it's also a dramatization of making sure that this person is mechanically capable. Because he needs to see that, I think more importantly, he doesn't need to see Norman kill this guy. He needs to see how Norman reacts to killing this guy. Because that's going to be far more important for him and his crew, is understanding how Norman reacts to these situations.
All right, Steve. What up, buddy? I think the next one is something.
You want to pull up your video?
Actually, I just want to make sure this is the right. Yeah. Okay. So, let's do this one, and then. All right, I just sent you one. That one is like the next step, right? So Norman now is, he's going through the process. There was a couple things that he did with Norman to get him through this whole thing. The next one was a lesson that really drove home, because he brought him into a house. He met this woman, and it's almost like he's falling in love because he's almost never been in love, and he found it more, and there's a lot of emotions, and so much is going on, and then this happens.
Yes. Chuck Peters, ready to mount up. Norman! I got him. Head up! Fuck! Who you think you are, huh? Jesus Christ! No! You gonna raise her up, Norman? Put your ass back on the fucking kite. What is wrong with you? What are you doing, huh? What the fuck is wrong? Are you gonna get mad? Do you think it's good? Ass, come on. Come on. Fuck it! Fuck it! It's called war! You feel it? That man's fucking tight! What the fuck you think you are?
See that? That's an entire city on fire. I started this war killing Germans in Africa, then France, then Belgium. Now I'm killing Germans in Germany. It will end. Soon. But before it does, a lot more people gotta die.
Sorry about the technical difficulties there, but we're trying to get, a point across. It is about the movie, so some things you have to watch the movie and see, what exactly we're talking about. And that scene,
yeah, it's a lot. And I thought it was interesting too, the choice of because in the previous scenes, Collier was pretty actively mentoring Norman. And then in this bit, he let the sort of most, I don't know, the least comforting member of the crew go get him. Because, it was that time. He didn't, they were out of time for that previous thing. And he also had to understand, too, that, that moment is over now.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing because, in a second you think that you're starting to find love for, the first time, and then just as quick as that, just as quick as you walk out the door to go get into the tank and go do your job, a couple arty rounds come dropping in or mortars or whatever the case was, and that's all gone. And that's what, that's what Kunas was trying to tell Norman is, I hope you feel it, the pain that comes with it, because that is war. That is exactly what war is.
Yeah, don't start liking this. And maybe that's what the other boys were thinking, is that good treatment was making Norman think a little too highly of war. And because then in that scene, because it was after a lot of the things that, because also this movie too takes place in one day, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was, no, I mean, essentially, yeah, it would have been one day and one night, right?
Yeah, because it's the sun comes up in the morning, and then they're scooping a new crew out. They get Norman in, they get their orders, they move out. By the end of the day, the sun finally sets. But yeah, the whole thing is, this is one day that this kid spent with his tank crew. And they said they were together 3 years before Africa.
Yeah, they started in Africa, and then they went to, France, and then they were in.
So they'd probably been training together since 40 or 41. They'd probably been together for a while.
Yeah, I mean, that was a solid crew, and they had just lost. The fact that Fury stayed together as long as they did with the original tank crew was unheard of in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
All five of them stayed together until basically that day, and then Norman replaced. He said in the movie, I used to have the best tail gunner and the entire, basically the entire fleet is basically what he said. And now I have you, a kid who's been in for 8 weeks. Yeah, it's a lot going on all at once, and that was one of the things that, it's kind of wrapping all this up into one thing, where Norman's going through this journey. I don't know how much more you want to dig into our audio, or not audio, but we can do our visual aids, but we should at least try to do a few more just to give justice to this movie. I mean, if you really haven't seen some of these scenes.
Your connection dropped out while you were saying that.
Oh, I was going to say I'd like to see the one where they called him Machine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn, son. You fighting fucking Frank Machine, ain't you?
Machine, that's it. That's his war name.
That's perfect.
I christened the machine. 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 Machine.
Machine!
Yeah.
I love it in here. I do. Best job I ever had.
Best fucking job. Yeah.
Try and get me all misty-eyed, you son of a bitch.
Perfect, man. That's a damn good scene. There's, it's so simple. It's like, it's only like 2 minutes, if that. What it says is, I mean, it's out of this world. But that scene says, not only has Norman made himself a part of the team, but you really get to see the family as a whole. Like, they all bring him in, they give him his war name, and that is significant. That's huge. Yeah, and that line in that movie, that just, resonates with anyone who's loved what they did. Best job I ever had.
Best job I ever had.
Best fucking job.
We're just sitting in a tank together, and we're like, it's just us, and, we'll show you what led up to that. But really, I mean, that scene means a ton to the movie. Because that's them. That's pure as shit right there. It's almost like, I thought this movie was based on a true story. Did you, Steve?
For a minute, there's definitely so much of this movie that is so true to a degree that it might as well be factual. That, like, this may as well have happened. Like the sort of events that were likely glued together to sort of make this story, in addition to the just good writing. But like
Phenomenal writing.
Yeah, and like the writing, the acting, and there's a few technical things that are always goofy. Like, grenades are always brighter than they actually are, and certain things are always bigger and flashier, and people jump further. But I think there were things that were theatrically there, but there was stuff that was accurate, that was like dead on. Like, as far as like the gore stuff went, like when Bible got shot, like that's what it looks like. It's not anything nuts. It's just like they stop being able to hold themselves up, and then there's just like a drop that happens, and then like the chunk of face, like fuck me, from the beginning when he's cleaning out the tank, and like, yeah, it's about like that's about the, and it's about that like casual, as far as it's, we do a much better job cleaning it up, but like if the mess is there, like that's kind of what the mess looks like until we get to clean it up and hide it from everybody else. And
to roll back to the movie, Fury goes through a hard day, and Fury is the tank, by the way. We give names to our equipment as well. Not all equipment gets named like that, but I know, the Iron Monster community, if you guys are out there, just know that, like, I got respect, the Iron Clan, Iron Monsters, Iron Beasts, whatever you want to call yourselves. You guys name your monsters, so I get it. Fury's the name of the tank. They just made it through this Tiger engagement. They're rolling through, and lo and behold, like, they hit a mine in like the middle. Like, it was literally the middle of the crossroads.
yeah,
like they hit a mine in the middle of the crossroads that they were supposed to protect, and it blew the track off the tank, which makes it immobile, obviously. And there was a scene that I use for a small unit leadership class that I teach to, you know, some of my babies going through some training for, you know, other programs that we're involved in. I won't call you guys out in case you're, you know, staying away from you know, tying us in with you, but you guys know who you are. Steve, why don't you roll that clip and we'll roll into some small unit leadership.
Roger that.
Good evening, Norman. Why change your pose? Slow down.
They're coming right now.
Who's coming?
The Germans.
How many?
Oh, too many to count.
How many?
About two, maybe 300 of them. They got vehicles too.
Tanks?
No, just trucks.
A bunch of bums looking to surrender, that's all.
No. They were marching, they were singing, they sounded like they wanted to fight.
They were singing?
Where? I'm telling you. Right over there.
Oh, you hear that?
It's a goddamn SS battalion.
Bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
Grady, get my gun.
Yeah.
You want to get the weapon?
Shit. Yeah, let's just get on shit, all right? Look, it's about to be dark. Just get on up out of here, huh? Let them pass on through.
Let's hit them woods.
Dude, Norman, go get your shit. Go get your pack. Let's go.
We ain't never run before, I ain't running now.
What's that?
We're gonna fight it out.
We can't.
I'm gonna hold this crossroad.
What you mean you're gonna hold this? The tank's busted. The tank's fucking busted, Top.
Yeah, you said that.
Top, what are you doing?
What do you want to do? You want to sit here?
We're gonna hold this
you want to
crossroad.
sit here, hold off the SS battalion?
No,
We
it's
ain't
not what I
gonna
want to
fight.
do, but it's what we're doing.
There's 5 of us.
Get
It's
your
300
fighting
of them.
position.
Mount up.
Fucking fighting positions when we ain't got to tell you how we gonna fight.
We got a cannon!
No, that don't make
Top,
sense.
get on
Stop!
What are you doing?
Get out of here. Get to that tree line. Boys, take care of yourselves. Get to that tree line. It's all right.
It's all right.
It's my home.
I'm staying here with you.
All right. I'll need you to load. Boys, get on. It's all right.
Grady, come on.
We're gonna stay.
What is your plan?
Look.
Get us one of them dead crowds.
All right.
It could just be my internet connection's not handling all this.
We got a lot going on, so
yeah.
This is like a tsunami coming toward you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could be a fortified structure on land, and that tsunami, water doesn't give to anything. It takes what it wants, and you know, an SS battalion is not like, that's not something to deal with. Those are some of the most trained and brutal forces in the German army.
Mm.
And, you know, the captain that War Daddy was working for, it was, you know, it basically was a hospital, but it was also a supply train. And this SS battalion was going to crash right into this supply chain and basically cripple the division if they didn't hold that crossroads. I mean, we're talking about a single tank, but you know, if you ever, we're not going to play the last, you know, battle scene, and that's not what we're here to do. We're here to more get into like the psychological, the leadership aspect of it.
Plus, I'd like to be able to fall asleep. I watched this shit on Monday, and it's been rough on a few, because like there's some stuff that's pretty authentic in that film, just from my career field. And I'm sure if they managed to find authenticities in my career field, I'm sure they managed to find it in yours and others as well. So, you know, trigger warning. There is no pause in time when he says, all right, grab this can, get that going, like, because he's also very mindful of the fact that, like, they're still marching, even though you're not cool with this idea, they're still coming.
Yep. So
I do need to have some kind of thing in action here. Like, it's not that this isn't debatable, but while we're debating, could you help me do this?
Yeah, and, you know, we play the next scene, which is when they're sitting in the tank. You know, they start passing around that bottle, and, you know, that's when Norman becomes full cycle, because he just now made the decision that he might lose his life for these guys that he's only known for a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could have been very easy for Norman. You could have, I mean, anyone could have seen that there was wide open fields.
Yeah.
And Norman was on the treetops. He could have watched those guys walk right by him and go demolish that tank. There were so many different things that went into that normal people don't see. Like, he could have abandoned his responsibilities, but he ran back. He got him.
I was so worried as a sergeant that he was going to take a nap, because they kept showing cutting to like the breeze, and I'm like, he's going to have that lunch and he's going to fall right asleep. I wouldn't send him up there by himself, but like he didn't fall asleep. But like, and like that's very much like a dad or mom thought too, of like, if I send him up there on a full stomach, he's going to pass right out. And but also too, like, boys got to eat, and like, he wasn't going to be very useful. He went to typist school. He never went to mechanic school. So like, you're most useful away from us right now. So go do that.
War Daddy knows it's over.
Yeah.
You know, they pop the bottle. This bottle they've been saving forever, and they pass it around and they start drinking. And they're basically saying goodbye. You know what I mean? And do you want to try another clip? The Bible, it should be the one, not the one while they're in the engagement, but the one before. And it's Isaiah.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is a righteous act, Joan. You hear me, Gordo? Mm-hmm. You know, there's a Bible verse I think about sometimes. Many times. It goes, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here am I. Send me.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 6.
Yeah. This movie's great because there's so many subtleties hidden in there. Like
Oh God! I mean, there were so many things in there. So many.
like the send me bit where everybody sort of reflects on that moment, because there is a moment of that calls back to why one likely enlists or volunteers, or at some point justifies after they've been drafted their behavior. Because even those who have been drafted who are like, this sucks, at some point you have to stop saying this sucks and start saying like, all right, now what do we do? And then you start to realize like, well, you're sending me so that you don't send them. And you're send me is what they're saying, because they're realizing like, send them against that battalion, because even though they're for sure not gonna do well, they are at least better prepared than that hospital full of sick people, or that train full of other clerk typists who've never seen a Panzer Faust in their life and have never seen an SS division, and some units who've been behind the lines deep enough, far enough, or like any kind of tissue that's been under the skin far enough, like they just won't handle the exposure. It's a knife cutting too deep. It's also it's very weird. He doesn't quote the Bible for the same reason that he doesn't fire the cannon, because that's Bible's job.
You're right. He sticks to his lane, and I'm sure there are so many things that Bible had said in those 3 years that truly touched. Sergeant Collier was War Daddy in the movie, just so everyone's tracking.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
But I'm sure there are many, many things that were said that touched home with him. But he always made. He was with the rest of his crew where they kind of razzed on Bible. And there was a scene in the movie that they did that, he didn't show that he knew anything about the Bible up until that final scene.
Yeah.
Where it was time to level with your boys, right? He's now drinking with them.
Right.
And then he pulls out that he knows quotes from the Bible by, not just by the book, but by the chapter. It says a lot, and he didn't show it in that scene, but you could see Bible, and he started laughing, and he was like, yeah, yeah, that's right.
Like it tickled him.
That's
what made me wonder if he went and was looking at Bible quotes later to in his because he did a lot of interesting stuff because it's hard when you're the team leader to know when to segregate yourself and when to, because you could see that he definitely had a working relationship with the other NCOs, the other tank commanders, and it looked like probably in their downtime he would be chilling with them a little bit more, because also, let's be serious, he would be chilling with those guys all day every day anyway, so in his off time he was very likely hanging out with the senior NCOs, and there were probably other people he could confide into, and because that's usually how it works. You're not going to bitch to your troops about a lot of stuff, because that just, it doesn't work for anybody. But yeah, that was definitely his time of exposing himself sort of fully, and in that moment he was doing it as an offer of sort of sacrifice, because they were offering their self in sacrifice. That's what he was offering in sort of return, was his full sort of true self in a way.
I didn't think that Collier just went out and sought to know Bible verses so he could be next to Bible, in a certain way. But this next scene that we're going to play really shows how deep he does know his shit.
Ain't no good leaking oil everywhere.
Patch me up then.
Hey, take these 2 boxes, put them down below. Hey, Grady, come on, keep them coming. All right, open the other one for me.
If a man loves the world, love of the Father's not in him. All that's in the world, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. It's not of the Father, it's of the world.
World's desires pass away. But he who does God's will is going to live forever.
Forever.
Lift it up.
All right. You're going to break my goddamn heart today.
Oh, and I gotta tell you, like, there's so many things going on, in this one too, like, the subtleties that happen in this, but, Bible's patching him up. He just got shot in the arm, and Bible's patching him up. And as he's patching him up, he basically says a quote from the Bible, and the ending of that quote, I mean, it just really touched home what they were doing, because Bible had thought that the whole time he was doing what he was doing was, if I do God's work, I'm going to live on forever. And that's the verse that he chose to, say right in that moment. It was their last moment together, basically, that they were talking.
And I think it was with true understanding, too, that, like, they weren't going to blink into a cartoon somewhere else, that, like, this is unfortunately what forever looks like. Mm-hmm. Like, and the love of the world isn't that you don't love the things in the world. It's that you are not so terrified when death comes. And you're not so, like, the love of the world is you love things more than people. You love, I mean, basically that's what love of the world is. You love mm-hmm. the things about, the ideas about being alive more than you actually value the life itself. And then in that moment they realize that, like, this is what, immortality is the act of, it's a function of humanity. It's not a function of an individual. It's a larger thing that you participate in. Immortality is a thing that you don't necessarily get to experience, but it's a thing that experiences you in a way. Or it's crazy, but, like, you could sort of see in that realization there was a little bit of heartbreak that, like, it's probably not going to be trumpets and glitter and wings and whatever, but, like,
we're going there together.
Yeah, and they get that, like, this was part of that deal. The standing up and saying "send me" was also a shunning of the world, and not a shunning of the world, but a shedding of the world, and understanding that you may let the world slip right out from under your feet, because it could all go black here in a minute.
These are hard things to get through, and really why I love this movie is it does it paint a damn good picture of, like, what it's like to love another person that you've been to war with. And, in that final scene, and I value it a ton, but you just don't get that, like, anywhere else.
Yeah.
You see them sitting there and all the things they go through and how hard they fight. And when it's all said and done, like, it is a sad thing. Mm-hmm. It is a sad thing how it ends, but you don't necessarily feel bad at the end, because they fuck shit up, like, hardcore.
They all score some pretty hefty points on the board before they go down.
Yeah.
Collier's the only kind of, well, I mean, they all have relatively quick deaths. Collier's in pain for a lot longer. Amazing acting on Pena's part, because it was just as legit as that, because Norman freaks out, grenade, And then Gordo just gives him this look like, I got it. And he just grabs it, chests it, and fucking takes in the blast. And then, Norman's just like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? But, like, Gordo's fully aware, like, I'm not surviving this shit, yo. I got you, brother. And gave him a wink nod and fucking ate it. And, like, fuck yeah, dude. That's a good one.
Oh, probably shouldn't beat a dead horse, but maybe this is time we wrap it up, and I think we did a good job covering this whole movie and everything about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely go watch it. It's Fury, came out in 2014. It's available wherever you can find movies. Duh. The clips we got from wherever, we'll figure out how to do attributions and stuff eventually. Right now it's just set to voicemail, but I'll run the numbers and contacts again. So if you want to talk to us, and if you have a movie you'd like us to watch, or a piece of art you'd like us to discuss, because we're thinking about doing this with poems and paintings and I think the next one I want to do is Fight Club, because not just for Brad Pitt boners, but like Fight Club's another really kind of amazing entry into some discussions, and I think that's kind of maybe the theme I'm taking from this is and we'll probably spin off into different whatevers, but like the reason I'm thinking Fight Club would be a great sort of thing to talk about next Wednesday is not that these are talking about the same thing, but it's fun conversations to start having. And I think Fight Club has a lot of really fun conversations to start having with you and your friends, and most certainly with yourself. If you haven't seen Fight Club, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh yeah, you're a millennial. You've been born inundated under a blanket of far too much content, and you just can't find the good stuff in there. But Fight Club's awesome. Go watch it. The book is terrific, by Chuck Palahniuk. And oh yeah, so call 313-288-9617. You can email us at dfd.slm@deployedfromdetroit. Let us know if you want to talk about movies, or if you had any points on Fury that we missed. If you want us to talk about it again at some point in the future, because I'm sure everything might get a second look. We'll see.
Yep, I hope you got something out of it. We hope you go watch the movie and you get something out of the things that we see. Obviously, we enjoy talking about stuff like this, but thank you to all the people that currently follow us. If you do like the video, please click the like button. We always love subscribers, and thank you to all of our current subscribers. And for that, that's all I got, Steve. You got something else? Roll with it.
I ain't got shit. I've been Steve. That's Paul. We love you, folks. We'll see y'all later.
All right.